Hi, Emily and Dan. I figured I'd make a video to go over some of this just to explain it, and then I'll send over all of the information as well. So I've got the property. I pulled comps from the last 6 months, mostly the last three because the market does change a lot. I initially did 6 and then filtered it down. So a couple of things. You're going to get something that looks like this. Well, let me start over. It's going to look like this. And you'll go down to start presentation and you can click through this stuff. I haven't put my resume on there or anything. If you want to read what a CMA is, it's more so for sellers, but it's for buyers too. And then you'll go to this comps down here. So this is all of the comps I've pulled that have sold or are pending recently, as well as our active listing right there. Remember, sold comps is what tells us about the market. Active listings, people can list their house for $1 million. They could list their house for $1. It's going to sell for what the market value is. So that's why we look at pending and sold is for our data. Pending, keep in mind, this number is not what the final sale is. They don't release that until escrow closes. But this is the number that they listed it at to get it into escrow, to get someone to bite, or for lack of a better word. And then these closed. So just, super quick. And I don't know why they have it twice. It's like subject plus it's active. So just keep that in mind. It's the same thing. So this one is interesting because it sold. It hasn't sold yet. It's pending. It was on market 28 days. These comps are all pulled within that neighborhood. I didn't want to go too far out. But this one is not updated. So keep that in mind. And you can click through the photos, but again, not updated at all. And it's pending at 1.15. The next one closed at 1.355. It's a 4-bed. This is 2.5 bath. I don't know why it rounds up. A little bit bigger square footage, about the same lot size. However, it did sell in April of this year, so pretty recently. Market, interest rates were already going up at that point, so I'd say this is a good comp. And pay attention to this. The list price was 1.38 and the sales price was 1.355. So they got less than what they were asking for this one. Likely not a multiple offer situation. This one is a good comp. I believe it's the exact same. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1482. So exactly the same square footage as you can see here. However, this lot size is actually 2,000 square feet bigger than the subject property. And it sold July of this year. So this is a good comp. And as you can see, it sold for less than listed price. They were asking 1.36 and they got 1.32. So they also got a little bit of a deal on that. And it was 26 days on market. So I'll click on that and you're welcome to look through these as well. Interior looks nice. A bit more dated. Like those look like original cabinets and they just added new fixtures. Windows look maybe new, at least the window coverings. But definitely not as nice, I would say, as the one that you guys toured. And then, but the open house, toured at the open house. The backyard, I would say, is lacking a bit on this one as well. Just a little bit funky there. So a couple of things I wanted to go over with you. So one of them is, I did check the tax records. So this is the tax records for the house that you guys toured. If we go down here, as you know, like there's a new roof and everything, all the upgrades are new. So this is the sales history. So it was inherited by someone, intra-family transfer and dissolution. That's kind of like means someone passed away and they inherited the house. And then this person sold it to DBZ Capital Ventures for $1 million. That's a great price. I am assuming that the home was not in great shape when they bought it. And I do believe this is a flip company. So they bought it for $1 million. So normally with flips, they put in like for a 4 bed, I mean, I always base it off, like, if it's a 3 or 4 bedroom with that square footage, you could say, like, if they're not, especially if they didn't add on any bedrooms or bathrooms, it's probably, they usually put in about 150,000, give or take. So, if I calculate that, just to give you guys, like, I want to give you a full picture. So let's say they listed it at 1.349 million, and they paid a million, and then let's say they put conservatively or average 150 in, so 1,150,000. So at that sales price, they're netting 200K. Usually with flips, they net at least close to 100, but they overshoot because they want to protect themselves, like, so this is all guesstimation too. I could be wrong, 50 grand, maybe even like 80 grand up or down, but that's kind of their goal. I will say that because it's a flip and everything's new, including the roof and stuff, I actually put a list, like, it's a flip, it's single story, that's really popular. It's in a great school district, Poway Unified. It's got a new roof, and it's on a corner lot. So as you can see here, so there's a lot of, I can imagine there's a lot of interest is kind of what I'm getting at there. The other thing, so if you click through, so if we're at the comps here and you go to average pricing, you can look at that. Average price per square foot. So I like to look at this as well. So 848. I think the price per square foot that it's listed at is a bit higher than that. So if we pretended that we could get 848 for this house, I'll get my calculator out again, or I can just tell you guys, but so 848 square feet times the square footage of the home. I'm just going to show you actually. So 848 price per square foot times the square footage of the home, which is 1,482. Like, if we based our offer price off of that, we're looking at 1.26 million offer. Average time to sell is 19 days. This is another number that I like to look at. So on average with these comps, they sold at 97.66% of list price. So that's good. Like, sometimes you're seeing over asking, but the market's been a little bit sluggish. So if we were to calculate our offer strategy based on that, it would be 1.349 million times 97.66%. So that's 0.9766. So that's 1 million, let's call it 1.3. So 1.3 is kind of where we're at with that. I wish that number could be less, but just to give you an idea of kind of like what the market's looking like in that area. And I these are good comps. I wonder if there's a map on here. Like, if you look at the map, this is kind of what I searched. I kept this one out because it's a high price point, and there was a little bit of things wrong with it. These were the closest ones. This was the 1.2 that's pending, that's not updated. And then, if I wanted to get into it even deeper, this is the zip code 92129. This is kind of the platform we use for market data. It has a lot of leading indicators on here. So I'm looking at houses. The market action index is a really great leading indicator number. It's basically the rate of homes for sale divided by inventory. So how fast are homes selling divided by how many homes are available on the market. And it's based out of 100. 50 is technically a buyer's market, but like in San Diego, we see it over here a lot. Last year, we were over here. This is a pretty prized neighborhood and zip code, so it probably didn't get as low last year, but we're still leaning towards that seller's market. So this is a 5-year average of that market action index. And if this is going over your head, don't worry about it. I always try to explain it, and I never know if it actually lands or not. But so this is the 5-year average for this market action index. And as you can see, like last year was a tough year. And then it kind of started with the rate cuts and stuff. It got a little bit better. And then I believe by like May is when interest, like everything that was happening with oil in the Middle East, and then we saw it fall. And when it falls, that means interest rates are going up, homes are sitting for longer, they're not selling as fast, and it's going towards a buyer's market. So the lower this goes, it's like more of a buyer's market, and the higher it goes, it's more of a seller's market. So right now, we're at the 90-day average is 58. So we're still in a seller's market, but not like a crazy strong one. And I can even market segment this. We're in the 1.3 range, right? So this is the lower 90 days. So it's this color. So if we look at, oh, okay. So if we're looking at the lower 90 days, which is the price point, subject price point, the market action index is actually going up even more. So the lower 90 days is at 80 right now, which means it's a stronger seller's market. I don't know if I said buyer before. 80 means a stronger seller's market. And then, we can look at other things. Like if we look at the median list price for these properties, we're in this like dark yellowish color, tan. It's the median list price has gone up since January. And that's surprising because interest rates have also gone up. If we wanted to look at the total market, we could look at this. Some of it is summer's a common time for people to be selling or just moving in general. So not too much of a change, but we're at 1.4 total. And then the other one I actually really like to look at is median days on market. It's better than average because there's some outliers sometimes. So if we look at the median days on market right now, we are at the 90 days, 28 days. So that's relatively quick. We're condos this year, we were looking more like 90, 100 days. But for this zip code, it's still pretty strong. And I definitely think it's because of school district, no Melrose, no HOA, things like that. And then I can segment this as well. So let's see what the median days is on market for the lower 90 days, that tan line again. So, it was higher in February and it's dropped since then. And I believe, it doesn't really make sense because rates have gone up since then. However, summertime is a really great time to move. And I think that home specifically must have a lot of families that are interested. So currently we're at 21 days. So all that to say, I think that if it's something of interest, our offer is going to depend on, like, I can show you guys this data all day long, but at the end of the day, the offer is going to reflect how much you guys want the home. So if it's something that you're really interested in, I think writing an offer is not, it could be possible, but it depends on the number. I mean, as I said, I don't know if you guys are thinking like it's going to drop 300 grand, I don't see that happening. But if we want to put in something that's, at like maybe like a 1.28, or like a 1.32, I think that's possible. That's not going to rub the seller the wrong way. Of course, I need to call the agent and chat with her a little bit more. But I also recommend speaking to Danielle and going over kind of what the numbers would look like for this property at certain price points, because she'll be able to help you out with that as well. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.